I'm Joe DeCicco. I'm a cop, a retired detective from the New York City Police Department, and a licensed private investigator. My experiences with the NYPD are among the most profound of my lifetime, and I share those experiences in a series of novels based on the events and characters encountered in my professional career. My main character, Mike Romano, is a personification of my soul, my alter ego. In 1973, I joined the police department because of a terrible incident one muggy August evening. It triggered emotions deep within me that are still present today, and that's why I signed up. The events and actions I write about are representative of those experiences. As a child, Romano identified with God's warrior, St. Michael, the Archangel. Sometimes, especially during stress situations or moral dilemmas, he talks to his Heavenly Father and St. Michael. At times, he even hears the beat of angel wings. I'd like to share a poem with you. It's called The Policeman's Poem and appears in the preface of one of my books. The policeman stood and faced his God, which must always come to pass. Step forward now, policeman, how shall I deal with you? I know I don't deserve a place among the people here. They never wanted me around except to calm their fear. Step forward now, policeman. You've borne your burdens well. Come walk a beat on heaven's streets. You've done your time in hell. The author is unknown, yet sums up the thoughts of every cop. Mike Romano is a good man who knows right from wrong, but sometimes the line between them blurs. These are those stories. From Angel with a Gun, the first novel. A reading. Mike and his dog watched with interest as the cars turned into 90th Street, adjacent to his block. Mike jerked the dog's leash, causing her to yelp. Together they ran around the corner. After a few steps, the dog pulled him along. She had no idea why they ran, but for her it was fun. Red and white beacons from the roof lights cast their own shadows to mix with those that Mike had noticed earlier. He stopped to lean against a parked auto. The run around the corner, combined with the dense, moist air, had made Mike lightheaded. He waxed poetic. The shadows had danced. Now they have music. Mike chuckled at how silly that sounded. Good thing nobody could hear that. They'd put him away. Mike looked around the neighborhood. From the row houses, he saw people coming out onto their porches. From the apartment buildings, heads poked out of windows. The lights and sirens had aroused the neighborhood. Brakes squealed and a third car slid to a stop next to the first two against the curb, mid-block in front of the apartment houses. The odor of exhaust fumes, burning tires, and brakes permeated the air. As the car doors opened, from each cruiser erupted a team of 2 officers. All 6 cops ran into the apartment house that fronted the street. The red brick building was one of 4 in a complex that boasted open, screened external landings between floors. The hairs on the back of Romano's neck bristled. This is not just a bullshit run. What the hell happened, wondered Mike. He watched the officers' progress as they passed each screened landing, running to the roof and out of sight. The sound of muted voices drifted down towards Mike. After pacing the sidewalk for several minutes, he attempted to find out what was going on. Mike called out to several other persons who left their houses, attracted by the commotion, and had gathered near him. Do you know what's going on? Did anyone make the call? Is anyone hurt? I was out here and didn't hear anything. He received no reply. Mike grew agitated. Instinctively, he knew that whatever brought the cops to that building had to be serious. Extremely serious. Despite the warm night, a cold chill gripped Mike as he strained his eyes to view the top of the building that the cops had entered. He began to become worried about his family. Maybe the siren scared Annie. Maybe Betty's wondering what happened to him. Bullshit. He'd been unnerved by the unknown, and he needed the comfort of his family. He gave the dog's leash a quick tug and returned to his apartment. Worms in the Apple takes place in the seedy world of the Old Times Square area of New York City. The Apple, as it is sometimes known. It's here Mike became embattled with a crooked commanding officer and uses a family friend to assist in his private war. Romano, D.I. Bryan is waiting for you in his office. Sign in first, then go see him forthwith. I'll tell him that you're here. Mike was shaken. The hair on the back of his neck stood out. He sensed something bad was about to happen. He signed in and went to Bryan's office. The door was closed. He knocked twice. From inside came, "Romano, come in. I've been expecting you." Mike entered, leaving the door open. "Yes, Inspector, you wanted to see me. Please close the door." As Mike turned and closed the door, Bryan indicated for him to take one of the chairs that faced his desk. Romano shook his head and chose to remain standing. "Mike, we had a good relationship going, didn't we?" Bryan did not wait for an answer. "When the conditions unit started, you and DeCicco were the first men chosen. You kind of led the team, setting a goal for the other men. It hurts me to do this, but for a while you're going back into uniform and on foot patrol. Do you understand or want to say anything?" Mike was weak at the knees and took the chair. Inside he was shaking for two reasons: losing a coveted assignment and wanting to punch the graft taker in the face. He spoke, hoping that his emotional state did not come through. "Look, boss, we got along great up to now. You even have me taking care of your car, moving it on Fridays. I thought the garage incident was closed." Getting no response, Mike quickly tried another tactic. "Betty and I, she's Irish, you know," hoping to play the ethnic card. Bryan was rumored to be a bigot and not like Italians. "We're saving for a house. This is going to hurt." Mike continued, trying to get a definitive answer. "It's only for a month, right?" "When do I go back into uniform?" "Tomorrow, Friday, is your last day in the unit. When you swing back, you're in uniform. Sergeant Holbrook is aware of my decision, and so is Lieutenant Armini. See Holbrook for an assignment. I'm allowing you to remain in the day squad on 10 to 6 tours. You're a good cop, Mike, but I decided that you need some time to think and learn to calm down. See me in a month. Oh, don't move my car either. Dismissed." Dirty Bags takes place in Staten Island, New York's suburban-like borough. Life took its toll on Mike. He is now divorced. Driving at 60 miles an hour, the hum of the tires was almost hypnotic. Mike had been trying to push thoughts of his soon-to-be ex-wife out of his mind and to concentrate on the roadway. Mike had never thought that he would be included in the national statistics of the police officer divorce rate of 60 to 70%. In his almost trance-like state, he absent-mindedly reached to raise his window and didn't notice two men standing next to a black Ford Bronco that was stopped on the right shoulder of the roadway. As he drove past them, it happened. Pow, pow, and pow! The cop and Mike Romano snapped back into the real world. Romano, with 10 years on the job, heard this sound many times during his time in Harlem and Midtown South. Those 3 gunshots brought a kaleidoscope of vivid memories, beginning with the bullet that went through his windshield as he drove home, the rooftop gun battle during the 1977 New York City blackout, and ended with another gun battle in the basements of Chinatown. Somewhere close, probably behind him, a large caliber handgun had just been discharged 3 times in rapid succession. Instantly, Mike's training took control of his body's auto responses. He defensively lowered his head and cautiously peered into the right side view mirror to glance back as he swung toward the highway's shoulders and began slowing his vehicle. Again, glancing in his side mirror, Mike saw the Bronco racing through the thick brush adjacent to the roadway. The truck had disappeared into a wooded area before he could bring his own vehicle to a final stop. As an almost eyewitness, Mike is subsequently assigned to work with a detective squad on the case. The killer is finally caught. The judge handed Capelli a life sentence without parole, and he never said a word. As he was escorted out, Henry turned and looked hard at Mike, who never backed down from a challenge. Romano excused himself from the others and approached Henry, asking the court officers if he could speak to the prisoner for a second. Naturally, they said yes, and backed away, giving Mike some privacy. Michael leaned close to Henry and whispered, "You're nothing but a dirty cop. That's you, dirty bags with double G's." Capelli was stunned and loudly asked, "You're a cop. How could you know my—" Henry never got to finish his question because the guards pushed him away from Mike. Mike only smiled and quickly answered, "Because I can, Henry. Because I can." Bulldog takes Romano to the dangerous world of narcotics. As always, he does what is necessary to get the job done. Rocco listened without comment, then asked, "Just what do you want from me, Mike? I know this could be touchy, but do you have any thoughts on how I can handle it? I don't want the action to keep going without trying to remedy the situation. You know how I am. It makes me feel inadequate inside. I have an inner need to do something and would like your input. Any ideas?" "Mike, we go back a long way, and in the past you have given me good counsel that personally helped me in a sticky situation without regard for yourself. Let me think a minute. Order us a drink, will you?" Mike flagged the waitress and ordered. Rocco was quiet for several minutes. As they sipped their drinks, he then leaned across the table and finally answered Mike in his usual short, cryptic style. "Well, I'm not a saint and I have done things I'm not proud of, but I do hate drug dealers, especially if I find them in my circle of friends and associates. They all know my feelings about that kind of thing. Give me some time and I'll get back to you." "Great. How much time do you think?" "You'll know when I have an answer. Now let's just relax and enjoy each other's company. It's been too long." To cap their visit off, they ordered double espressos spiked with Sambuca. Rocco picked up the tab. As they rose from the table to leave, Rocco shook Mike's hand. "Stay straight and righteous, my friend. Don't ever change. You'll hear from me soon. And say hello to your girl Lillian for me." Before Mike could ask how Rocco knew his name, he was gone. 3 weeks later, Mike learned via the 6 o'clock news that there was a fire down at the Fulton Fish Market, and the Gamma Fish Company was completely destroyed. Once again, he almost crossed an invisible line and was slightly ashamed to feel good about it. I hope that you have enjoyed this presentation and are interested enough to read my novels. They cover the full spectrum of a working cop's psyche and show that they are just people too. Thank you.